All right, so we got Soulless Jailer 2, Artifact Creature, Phyrexian Golem, Rare. Permanent cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. As a person that likes graveyard shenanigans, Madroltha, I do not like this card. Especially at 2-drop, it gets out early, and it's a 0/4. So it's got a big butt and early appearance. So now, as a Madroltha player, I'm going to have to get this off the battlefield somehow before I can use Madroltha. So that's going to be a problem. And anybody that plays this in my meta, I think I'm going to punch them. All right, Bringing the End. 1 in a blue, instant, common. Counter target spell unless its controller plays 2. Corrupted. Counter that spell instead if its controller has 3 or more poison counters. So if you're playing the Toxic game, Infect game, this actually is a pretty good 2-drop counter spell. It's any spell. It doesn't specify whether it's a non-target or non-creature spell or a creature spell. So target spell, not bad for a common. Ichor Moon Gauntlet, 2 in a blue, artifact, mythic rare. Planeswalkers you control have 0 proliferate and -12. Take an extra turn after this one. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose a counter on target permanent. Put an additional counter of that kind on that permanent. Wow, that is powerful. Very powerful. You've just given all your planeswalkers proliferate. Somebody playing Super Friends, this is definitely going to be something you're going to have to get off the battlefield right away. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if you got a spell slinger out there, they're going to be proliferating left and right. This is going to be a pretty powerful card, and I do think it'll probably see some play in the meta here. I may play around with it or not. I only have a couple decks where I run enough planeswalkers that wouldn't necessitate. It's not bad at a 3-drop, so the 3 CC cost makes it. There's going to be some interesting uses for this out there. Next, Mirror and Safe House 3, artifact rare. As long as Mirror and Safe House is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all lands and all graveyards. If you're playing this in the hopes of doing mass land destruction, you are a bad person. That's all I'm going to say about this card. One of my favorite cards I've seen that I immediately knew where it was going, Tyrannosaurus Rex 4, green. Creature, Phyrexian Dinosaur, mythic rare. The spell can't be countered. Trample, Ward, 4. Haste, Toxic 4. Players dealt combat damage by this creature also get 4 poison counters. This is going in my mono green Omnath immediately. I'm going to have Omnath sitting there waiting. So as I open my box, and the minute I pull it, it's going right in there. So 7 green is not hard to come by in a mono green deck. It can't be countered. It can immediately attack. It's Trample, Ward 4, this is insane in a mono green deck. I can't wait to get this onto the battlefield. All right, next, Staff of Completion 3, artifact, mythic rare. Tap, pay 1 life, destroy target permanent you own. Tap, pay 2 life, add 1 mana of any color. Tap, pay 3 life, proliferate. Tap, pay 4 life, draw a card. 5, untap, Staff of Completion. All right, well, people broke Staff of Domination. I don't think they're very comparable, but there should be some interesting uses out there for this, especially any life gain deck that can use this in some way, manner. Not going to care about the life. And then if you're throwing some extra mana on top of that so you're able to untap, you're going to be able to... This is abusable, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. It is abusable. Next, Mind Splice Apparatus. 3 in a blue. Artifact, rare. Flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on Mind Splice Apparatus. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each oil counter on Mind Splash Apparatus. Wow, this is going to be pretty interesting too. Let's go Flash, so we can put this out anytime. You're going to get an oil counter, and then your instant and sorcery spells are going to cast 1 less. So at 4, I don't know. I doubt if it'll see competitive play. Just because by the time you get it at 4, you really want to be having your spell slinging going off depending on what you're running it in. Your casual mid-tier games, this could see some work. It's another artifact that someone's going to have to probably bump off the board if you're just trying to sling. If I see this in a mono blue deck, I'm probably removing this card, or I'm going to remove the player for the game. I think that's the only thing right now that I'm seeing this card. Definitely mono blue, or an is it style commander. This is, yeah. Next, Vat of Rebirth, 1 black. Artifact, uncommon. Whenever another artifact or a creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put an oil counter on Vat of Rebirth. 2 black, tap. Remove 4 oil counters from Vat of Rebirth. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. This is a powerful uncommon. 1 drop. You're getting this on that battlefield right away. So whatever creatures you might lose early on, if you're just doing jump blockers, things of that, you're going to get oil counters. You're not having to sacrifice it to be able to use that second ability. It's tap it, take 4 off, get a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. The big thing on this that I've noticed for token decks is it's whenever an artifact or creature you control, it doesn't say non-token creature, it says a creature you control. So if you're playing tokens, you're sacking them. If you got a sack outlet, you're going to be able to load this up, maybe get a big demon creature or something into your graveyard that you're just going to cheat in for cheap because of Vat of Rebirth. I'm curious. I think this card's going to see a little bit of play in my meta, and I'm curious to see what creative uses people I play with come up with for it. Next is Lux Artillery 4 artifact rare. This is from the commander portion of Phyrexia All We Won. Whenever you cast an artifact creature spell, it gains Sunburst and enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. At the beginning of your end step, if there are 30 or more counters among artifacts and creatures you control, Lux Artillery deals 10 damage to each opponent. Wow, that's actually pretty good. I think the first comment I saw when this one got spoiled was somebody has a 5-color mirror deck. They're like, we're putting this in there. And I think if that's going to give a boost to mirror. Sunburst as a mechanic was not very good on individual creatures, but if you have this blanket artifact that gives all your artifact creatures as you're casting them Sunburst, I don't know how they come up with 30 or more counters. It seems like an arbitrary number to put out there, but 30 more counters, and then at your end step, you're doing 10 damage to each opponent. So that could get out of control. It's definitely going to be a removal once you see a board start building up. And I actually would probably build a mirror deck with this because I've always wanted to build a mirror deck. So something I'll keep an eye out for.